Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to Sports Talk with Austin, your daily dose of sports and entertainment. And I would say it's it's a good day, it's a great day, but after today's results of Game 7 of the OKC Thunder knocking off the Denver Nuggets 125 to 93 in Game 7, I can't say there's much to be happy about, to be today. Today's a very normally I'm a very optimistic guy. Normally I'm happy and I'm loving life, but right now life's kind of kicking me in the butt after today's loss. As once again the Nuggets fall short of reaching the Western Conference Finals. And listen, we're not going to sugarcoat it here. There's a lot of things that need to be fixed coming this off season from the Nuggets. And let's be for real and let's be honest here. I mean, I'm gonna give all props to Oklahoma City. They earned it. They deserved it. They're not a 68 win team for nothing. Now, I mean, what we saw today though was was I think said more about the Nuggets than the Thunder. And I know that may sound biased coming from me, but Aaron Gordon had a grade 2 hamstring, was told he shouldn't have been playing today. They even said it could possibly require surgery, but he played today. Michael Porter Jr., he had the AC joint in his arm. And Jokic, his wrist and knee. Jamal Murray was sick. Our bench rotation was not good. And the fact that we pushed the Thunder to 7 games with all those injuries, with all of that surrounding our team, and the fact of the matter is I'm very proud of this Nuggets team. I'm very proud, and I'll say this. As you can see, I'm wearing all black, and don't mind the Colorado swag. Grandparents got it for me for Christmas. It was a Christmas gift. But because they're Colorado people, that's how I became a Nuggets fan. But I digress. Anywho, so back to this. I guess the thing is, like I said, there's not much to be happy with right now because let's be honest, the season's over. It hurts. I feel the pain. And even with all that, I even with all this pain and all this emotion I'm feeling right now, I still have a lot of gratitude and gratefulness to Aaron Gordon, to Michael Porter, to Jamal Murray, to Nikola Jokic, to all them guys gutting it out because we easily could have given up a long time ago in this year. We could have poo-pooed this season a long time ago and just said, okay, let's start on 2026 and going forward. But we didn't. We took it. We fired Mike Malone. We fired Calvin Booth. We took it on the chin and we got backed up. We picked ourselves up off the ground and we continue fighting and continue playing. And for that, I have nothing but respect and love for them for doing that because they could have easily just said poo poo on this. And for that, I will always have respect and love. And the thing is, too, the Denver Nuggets, you know, I will always say this about the Nuggets. As long as we have Nikola Jokic, who is statistically and maybe arguably the best basketball player in the world today, we have any chance in any given series. And it showed. And I think if you look at this scoreboard, and you look at this game 7 here, you would think, oh, the Thunder dominated the Nuggets, and this was a runaway from the beginning. No, this was actually a competitive game for a half. But what irritates me, and here's where I'm going to go on a little rant, is these officials. Okay? I don't mind them letting teams play, but why is it whenever they play us, being the Nuggets, they just decide not to call anything? Jokic is getting fouled. Gordon's getting fouled under the basket, but the Thunder are allowed to push, shove SGA with it flipper floppering like he's a fish out of water. I'm getting kind of sick of that. Sick of watching that because you're telling me that that's good basketball. You're telling me that this is how the series. You're setting a precedence that we're going to reward flopping. And I know people are going to say, "Well, Austin, Nikola Jokic is notorious for doing it too." You have no room to speak on that. Here's the difference, though. Jokic, in my opinion, has two. He notorious. You look at his knees, you look at his body, they are covered in whelps, scratch, and bruises from getting hit, pushed, shoved, and there's no calls. 90% of the time, they do not call nothing. And it was no different this series. OKC was allowed to do whatever they want, but if we breathed on any one of their players, that dadgum whistle is coming out of their pocket. And it's freaking ridiculous. And I don't want to sound like the one who blames the officials. I do not want to sound like that because then that makes you sound bitter and angry. But these officials need to get better. And if you're going to let them play, let it go both ways. Let both teams play and let it go. Don't sit there and officiate it one way or the other because I'm sick and tired of having to. I'm sick and tired of them letting the Thunder get away with broad muggery and broad daylight on the court, whereas Aaron Gordon or Christian Brown barely touch SGA and he flops like a fish out of water and they blow the whistle. I'm just tired of it. We can't. You're setting a bad precedent. You're rewarding flopping, in my opinion. We just can't have that. That's number one. And number two is another thing about this series and about this game. Nikola Jokic is doing every dig dang thing he can out there. He is trying his hardest out there. Jamal Murray, I know he was sick. He had the flu. I understand that. Michael Porter Jr., Aaron Gordon are both injured. But let's be for real for a moment, shall we? Michael Porter Jr. has lost his rhythm. And I get it. When you have an AC joint injury like that, it's hard to shoot. I get it because I used to play basketball in high school. I understand it a little bit. I get having a shoulder injury. But if you're out there playing basketball, if you're out there playing, be able to contribute in some way else. Rebound, play defense, box out, do something besides being a lump on the log. Because if you're not affecting the game with your shooting, affect it the other way. And I know in his post-game presser, he said he hadn't been able to sleep, lift. And here's the thing. I feel for Michael Porter Jr. I really do. And, there's going to be a lot of talk this offseason about what we should do with our core. How are we going to fix this roster going forward so we can be right back in championship contention? And here's the thing. I've been the biggest Michael Porter Jr. supporter to man. You can ask anyone that's ever known me. As long as I've been a Nuggets fan, a lot of people, when he was drafted, thought that was a bad draft pick. And I said, no, Michael Porter Jr. is going to be a key piece for the Nuggets. I loved when we drafted Porter. I thought it was one of our best draft day picks. And a lot of people were like, you're getting damaged goods now, his back. He hasn't really played much at Missouri. He's just a spot-up shooter. Here's my thing. Look, we got a championship out of it, yes. And here's the thing. When Michael Porter's hot and shooting the ball at an efficient pace, There's no better starting five in the NBA. I'll say that right now, right here. There's no better starting five because you've got the greatness of Nikola Jokic, you've got the spacing of Porter, you've got Christian Brown with his rugged, tough, slimy, fast defense. You've got Jamal Murray, who's a mid-range sniper and can facilitate in the two-man game. You've got Aaron Gordon, who's a pure dog who doesn't take any plays off. And I really think that compare any starting five in the league, I would take ours over anybody. And I know that may sound a little biased and a little biased coming from a Nuggets fan, but I truly do. And here's the thing. Like I said, injuries, they're a part of it. But you can't just be a sit statue out there if you're Michael Porter Jr. Like, look, Aaron Gordon, a grade 2 hamstring, even in the post-game presser, everyone told him just sit it out. Just sit down. Don't hurt yourself any more than you already have. But he wanted to be there for the team, for the fans, for the people. He didn't want to let them down. Even Jokic told him, just sit down. Like, your health's at stake here. And he didn't, and he laid it all out there. And you could tell in the first minute or two, he was still able to grab rebounds, but he didn't have the lift. He didn't quite have that Aaron Gordon-esque. There was a couple plays where normally Aaron Gordon could catch it and take off, and he's already ready to dunk it, or he's ready to lay it in. He couldn't do that today. He had no spring. He had no ability. He was trying his best out there. Christian Brown, I want to give him credit today. Even though we got absolutely hammered, Duke came to play. Christian Brown has been consistent, and he has played every single game like it could be his last. I know sometimes in the box score he seems like a no-show, but if you sit there and watch these games, Christian Brown is the do-it-all guy. He never complains, and he's always ready to play. And in the first quarter, he had 12 points. He was 2 for 5 from downtown, and he was one bright spot in today's game because after the first quarter, it was 26-21 Nuggets, and the Nuggets we came to play with energy today, and then the Thunder, they're eventually their youth and their talent on the bench eventually just overcame, and this is where I want to get into how this got out of hand, how we got to this point. Because in the second quarter, it was 42-41. Jamal Murray had just made a jumper and just made a jump shot. And next thing we know, all of a sudden, it's 60-46 because the Thunder are harassing. They're getting physical. They're pushing, and they're doing all the things that they do so well with the great defense. Alex Caruso, he is one of the most. That trade with Josh Giddey, if the Thunder go on and win a championship, maybe one of the most underrated trades in NBA history. Single-handedly swapping Giddey for Caruso. Because Alex Caruso in this series was an absolute menace, and the thing is too, it was our own downfall because we just had no answers for their defense. And the Thunder come in at you at waves, and you had to be able to withstand their runs. And we just didn't do that today. I think we were finally out of gas. We were injured. We just didn't have enough left in us. And this is what bit us last year, if you remember in the Timberwolves series, where we just ran out of gas because our bench depth nowhere near what it needs to be, and our starting five was relatively more healthy in the T-Wolves series, whereas this series it's kind of deteriorated. But Julian Strawther, he got some running game 6, had a magnificent game. Where was he at today? There's a lot of questions that's going to come out of this game. Where do the Nuggets go from here? Where will the core four, Jamal Murray, Nikola Jokic, MPJ, Aaron Gordon, where will the offseason take them? What do we do to bolster the bench? And here's the thing, too. Deron Holmes, who we drafted out of Dayton, he tore his Achilles. We never really got to see what he could be this year. How does he factor into all this? And he was supposed to be the guy that was help with the non-Nikola Jokic minutes. So there's a lot of things that we've got to figure out. The head coaching and GM vacancy. I mean, this is probably one of the best jobs for a head coach to take right now because we're in a win now, get ready position this absolute moment. And here's the thing, the Cronkies, they've got a decision to make. They've got some choices. And I've heard a lot of banter about what we should do. And here's the thing. Michael Porter Jr. has been the topic of the conversation on that. For a lot of people, MPJ is the one that needs to go, is the one that we need to explore trade value on. And here's the thing. I don't disagree. I love MPJ. But he brings a lot of ups with his downs. When MPJ's up, there's no one that could shoot hotter than him in a game. There's no one that could stretch a floor and threaten a defense like MPJ. I'll say that right now. I've said it before and I'll say it again. But when he's down, he just forgets how to play. And it shows. He doesn't. It's almost like if his shot's not falling, his confidence goes with it. But when his shot's going, you see him on defense hustling, playing. And that's what worries me about MPJ. So as far as what trades, what could be made, I don't know. Like me personally, I would love MPJ to stick around. I would love if we run it back one more year with this core four. If we could just bolster the bench, I just want to see, can we bolster the bench? Can we do something? Because obviously there's rumors out there that Nikola Jokic may leave Denver. I don't think that's true whatsoever. I think he likes it here in Denver. But if we don't build a bench around him, if we don't start revolting this roster, retooling it, doing something, he may maybe have to leave a little earlier. Because I don't think Nikola Jokic is going anywhere. I think he likes it in Denver. He may just retire and just say, okay, you guys handle it. And I know we said that about Luka Doncic, right? That we never thought he would go. But we're not going to entertain the idea of Jokic leaving. Let's be honest. Jokic is not leaving. Jokic, you would be a fool to do that. To trade a once-in-a-lifetime talent like Jokic and just say, okay. Like, we'd be stupid to do that. So, and that's the thing too, is that's not going to happen. But, and I want to say this before I get back to this, is I want to give all credit to OKC. They're young, they're hungry, they're talented, and what won them this series was their bench depth. But the next round against the Minnesota Timberwolves, I think they're in for, no pun intended, I think they're in for a dogfight. I don't think it's going to be as easy as it was with us, because at least with us, you knew we had a timetable on our bench, that we were eventually going to run out of gas, and it was going to be over. So, with that being said, I think OKC can win the whole thing. Do I think they will? I picked Minnesota to come out of the West at the beginning of the year, at the beginning of the playoff prediction. And a lot of people thought I was crazy for doing that. I like Ant Edwards. I think he's really, really good. I think the cat trade was a great move. A lot of people thought that would be their downfall. I thought it ultimately made the team better, because now you have a defender in Rudy Gobert. and you've got a guy in Julius Randle who could stretch the floor. You've got Jaden McDaniels, Nas Reed. You've got that bad man, Anthony Edwards. I like the T-Wolves, and I think they're going to match up good with the Thunder because they can go bench to bench with one another. Whereas us here at the Nuggets, not so much. And that's where the thing is, too, about the bench. I like Strawther. I like Strawther. I like Pickett. I like Hunter Tice. I like all those guys on the bench. But they were not ready for the big time. They were not ready for playoff action, so to speak. And here's the thing, Strawther had an incredible game 6. We'll always thank him for that. But we cannot keep letting this happen. We've got to fix the bench. And if someone was to ask me who stays and who do you want to go, right now I'll tell you Jokic needs to stay, Brown, AG, and Murray. Everyone else is on the table for negotiation. Because as much as I don't like to say this, Michael Porter Jr., I don't like saying it, but I am open to talks about Porter. If a team is willing to offer something to bolster our bench depth. And another piece to this bench depth that I haven't even talked about yet is Russell Westbrook. I know a lot of the haters are going to come out of the woodwork being, oh, I told you Russell Westbrook was going to cost you. I told you the Lakers, the Clippers fans, they're all going to be, I told you Westbrook's bad. Listen, Russell Westbrook is one of the greatest point guards to ever play the game of professional basketball. Point blank period, into discussion. And for the contract that we got him on, I would say the Westbrook experiment, as they like to call it, was a success. Yeah. Did he, last couple games of this series and in the playoffs, did he have some bad moments? Yes. And we got to be real about it. Did he affect the team a little bit? Yes, because he came in and immediately was a little wild and turned the basketball over. And listen, that's what you get with Westbrook. You get the highs, you get the lows. But he's a guy that's always going to give you 100%. And here's the thing. I would more than welcome Westbrook back to the team. I think he would do some good. And here's the thing, too. Nikola Jokic even went out of his way to ask for Westbrook last offseason. That says something. So if Westbrook wants to come back and we can afford him pretty cheap, why not come back? Because Westbrook is a guy, he can have really, really great games. He can have he can have vintage Russell Westbrook games where he gives you 10, 15, and 6 and turns back into MVP Russ. And I get it. But then the next couple games he could turn into, Lord have mercy, that's bad Russ. What are we doing? That's what you get with Russell Westbrook. Overall, on this game and on this season, right now I'm still feeling it a little bit, but I'm more optimistic than I was earlier. I'm really proud of what this team went through. Because like I said, they could have easily just given up and said, okay, season's over. There's no sense in competing. I'm really proud of it. We won a playoff series. And really proud of this team. So kudos to them. And to them, I thank them for an incredible season. Aaron Gordon, Mr. Nugget, I don't know where we would be without you. Like Aaron Gordon and Jokic are the two guys that I don't ever want to see get traded. I want them to retire in Nuggets jerseys. I don't ever want them to leave the Mile High. I think I don't care if you got to sell the house on Murray or Brown or Porter, Gordon and Jokic. Those are the guys that we need to build around. And listen, this is coming from a big Jamal Murray advocate, but Aaron Gordon and Nikola Jokic are the two guys I think epitomize what it means to be a Denver Nugget. But with that being said, and with all that being said, the thing is, now we look forward to next year. While this was a bittersweet ending, obviously, I would have loved to have made it to the Western Conference Finals. But now we look forward to the future. What's next? Well, you look at what failed you. You look over the tape and look at what made you. What were some of the things you did well on, and what were some of the things you didn't? And obviously, the first thing we're going to address is GM and coach. And I think Jokic and Murray and the core four, if they're still here, will have a big say, especially Nikola Jokic, will have a big say on who will be the next coach. And there's been many people that have said David Adelman has earned the right to keep his job here in not OKC, here in Denver. And I'll say this. For as much as chaos and disruption and everything that happened, and for Adelman to still get this much juice out of this group is a testament, I think a testament to his coaching abilities and to this team as well. Because, like I said, they could have easily just pooed this off and it could have been done. But he didn't. So, a lot of Nuggets fans, including myself, have think Dave Adelman has earned the job, has earned the right to keep his position. AG voiced his opinion in the post-game presser. He hopes Adelman is here. Jokic even said Jokic, who said it's not up to me, but I do think he does play a big part in it. And it's going to be an interesting off season of what we do. Are we going to trade MPJ? Who are we going to get in the draft wherever we're picking at? Do we go for another wing defender? Do we get a young player that is ready now? It's going to be interesting. And as far as, like I said, this game goes, the Oklahoma City Thunder, they were the better team. They were more hungry. They had more bench depth. Alex Caruso, I don't ever want to hear that name ever again, because it gives me a headache. And we're in for a treat the next round, though. On a better note, Thunder Wolves, like I said, it's going to be a fun series. Cannot wait to watch that. And it's been a heck of a season to be a Denver Nuggets fan. It didn't end how I wanted it to. It didn't end for a lot of us how it wanted to. But it's always going to be a very fond memory for me. The Aaron Gordon put back the game winner against the Thunder in this series. The Nikola Jokic game against the Toronto Raptors at the beginning of the year. I mean, we learned a lot about this team. And going forward, we've definitely got some pieces we could still build on. Christian Brown, would love to have him back. Aaron Gordon, Nikola Jokic. I think there's still more to get out of Porter. Murray, if he can find his spring again, I still think he's a very valuable asset to this team. I think the biggest thing is Russell Westbrook. He's entering year 18. I mean, Westbrook, I hope he comes back. Like, I really do. I hope we can get him on a cheap deal, and hopefully he can come back for next year. The thing, too, is that another thing that needs to be addressed, not just our bench depth, but we need a backup center. And I know that's where DeRon Holmes was supposed to come in. But the fact that at the trade deadline we didn't go make a trade to ensure that. Don't get me wrong, DeAndre Jordan's was a good player for his time, but he's at the point in his career where he is at the point in his career where he's just wouldn't say over the hill, but his 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 best days are behind him. His best days are behind him. And at times he provided good valuable minutes for the Nuggets. But here's the thing though. What hurts is yeah, when Jokic is not in the game, this is where the bench depth really hurts. Kind of go down another rabbit hole. And this is no new story. We've talked about this. But the Nuggets could be up 10, could be up 39-29. And the next thing they know, Jokic comes back in and all of a sudden we're down 5 with like that. And that's what happens when Jokic goes off the floor. That's another thing that irritates me. That didn't happen the year we won the whole thing. Heck, it didn't even happen that much last year. Last year, like at times, yes, but a lot of times we kept it in check. But this year, it really, really showed bad, especially in this series because the Thunder come at you in waves and waves. They hit you with heavy artillery. See, there's some teams that hit you with it later on. They let you get a lead and then they hit you with it. The Thunder, they're the opposite. They hit you with it from the get-go and then they back off at the end after they're done up. And that's what we really, our thing is, for whatever reason, in this series, it showed too, and it showed in the Clippers series. We would be up, and it showed throughout the entire year. It's another thing we need to address. I don't know if it's lineup or personnel, if that was something we could have done better, or if this comes with new acquisitions. But we need to find a personnel when Jokic is not on the floor. We don't blow a 10-point lead. I mean, that's what ticks me off. We blow a 10-point lead in a matter of that quick. And it just drives me absolutely bonkers, man. Like how do you do that? And people want to know why the Joker wears down and why this team wears down so quick. Because we have to play our starters heavy minutes in order to maintain a lead. And out through times of this season, we've been able to squeeze the most out of the orange juice we could with Pickett, Strother, Tyson, but it just wasn't enough. So going forward, we got to figure out what in the world we're going to do. I mean, and here's the thing, and it all starts with the bench. It all starts with the bench, in my opinion, like I've said, and like many of us say. And there's a lot of things that we could do. And a lot of, I'm sure the packages are going to be surrounded by Michael Porter Jr. because he's the one guy I think we still have value in. But and here's the thing. And this upcoming year in the 2025 free agency, there's a couple different guys we could go out and get to bolster our bench, or we could make a trade for. Like, could we go out and possibly get a Jonathan Kuminga? Could he possibly be a guy that could be coming to Denver? Depending on what the Warriors want to offer him. He's a restricted free agent, so Golden State could match any offer. Malik Beasley out of Detroit. Detroit, Cam Thomas out of Brooklyn, Kelly Oubre. There's some pieces out there that could get interesting, that could see us make a play for. And like I said, it all starts with the bench. It all starts with, I think that's where we need to start soul searching, the bench. And I'm just going to keep beating and beating this horse to death. And listen, and I know y'all may be getting sick and tired of hearing it, but maybe there is one person that could help shed some more light on this. He's a legendary caller at the Voice of College Football, and he's a big time Kansas City Chiefs fan, and he's always very insightful and has plenty of things to say. And he's a fellow Kentuckian, even though he likes the Kentucky Wildcats, but I won't hold it against him. Welcome to the show, the real MVP.
Hello, Austin. How are you doing this evening?
I'm getting better, Dario. Getting better. I'm getting
That's
over
good.
it.
At least it was a quick death, It wasn't a heartbreaking loss. You kind of had a lot of time during the game to process it. I find those more enjoyable than the last second, heart-wrenching, gut-wrenching losses.
Yes. I'll say this, Dario. After the first quarter and the Thunder went on that run, I was like, okay. And they started putting it on. I just was like, okay, start my grieving now.
Yeah, this series, kind of played out exactly how I thought it was going to be. Jokic is clearly the best player in the world, and he's one of the best players in NBA history. He'll end up that way for sure, no doubt. But the Thunder are just an overall better team. The Nuggets are like 5-4 deep, maybe even 3 deep some nights, where the Thunder 7-8 deep. And when you go back-to-back 7-game series, especially against two physical tough teams, in the Clippers and the Thunder, it's just going to be tough. Even if they won this series, I think eventually the lack of depth is going to catch up with the Nuggets. And that's why I was always wary about putting them in that contenders tier. And can we please give Jokic some help? Any help, please, somebody. Help this man out. Honestly, I'm not trolling when I say this. He may do a Giannis type strategy where he may just say, you know what, I've carried this franchise on my back. I might just leave one day. That's seriously on the table. They need to make a trade or something to get another superstar. My goodness, they got nobody.
Here's the thing, Daryl, and I know you're being honest about this. This isn't you being Troy, but here's the thing, Daryl. We're so deep in the salary cap debt. What do we do? Because we're paying Murray big time money. We're paying Porter, Gordon, Christian Brown's contract's coming up, and I hear he wants in a ballpark of 25 to 30 million. I don't know what to do.
You got to let a few people walk. I honestly, as harsh as it is, I would let Aaron Gordon walk. I would let Christian Braun walk. You got to cut some fat from somewhere, man. I keep Michael Porter Jr. I like him. But yeah, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough, but it's the way it has to have. You got way too much dead money. You got to trim some fat in order to build up for next season. Like, I don't want to say next season's kind of like a dead season with Jokic, but you're probably not going to win it next year either, my man. And then you got to make a trade for a superstar. Maybe you can do one of these things where you trade a bunch of players for a good pick, and that pick turns out pretty well, because this draft class doesn't have a whole lot of top-end talent outside of Cooper Flagg and Harper.
And Ace Bailey.
But he's not,
Yeah.
He's not being hyped up as a third pick like that one with James Wiseman in there.
Yeah.
So, in my opinion, this draft class is kind of weaker. So I think you can get some more higher up in the chain pretty easy compared to other draft class. You got to do something with that. And also, you got to get some depth, man. You got to get some depth from somewhere.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, too, Daryl, that I've been harping on. We got to fix the bench.
It's terrible.
Like, here's the thing, Daryl. more than anything this offseason, we need to get a bench. Like, we need to start there, number one, and then we can go from up. I know that may be backwards, but we've just got to. Listen, I love Julian Strother. I I liked him when we picked him. I liked him at Gonzaga. I'm sure you remember watching Julian. He's got great potential, but they don't let him run enough. He doesn't. They just don't let him go because what he brings on the offensive side, he screws it up on the defensive side by fouling and getting over aggressive. And coaches just don't like dealing with that. Jalen Pickett, like him too, but he sometimes doesn't know when to create for himself and he tries to be too passive. And Peyton Watson, great defensive player, but his offensive game just isn't there yet.
I understand, but man, I'm not going to say this to be me. I sent a tweet about it earlier. Jokic, when the Nuggets have Jokic on the court, they're the best team in the NBA. Without him, they might literally be the worst team in the history of basketball.
I don't disagree.
Yeah, and no offense, but when you're that stark and rely on one player, everyone else is up for sale. Because listen, I understand these players have potential, and they may be 2 years from being 2 years away type dudes, but you just need somebody to stabilize them to 6, 7, 8, 9 position. Get an old guy, just get like a Kyle Korver type guy, a reliable bench warmer who could score 12 points every single night. You need somebody like that, dude. You just need some level of consistency. Because the only consistency you've got is your trash on the bench. Like, you're horrendous there, man.
Yeah, like, listen, Darrell, I don't take no offense to you saying that because it's the truth. And it, to all the people out there that are saying that people are saying when they talk about the MVP debate, and here's how I sum it up. Because they're like, oh, the Nuggets would be just fine without Jokic. I'm like, really? So you're telling me this series goes 7 without him?
It probably doesn't even go 6 or 5. Thunder might sweep without Jokic, honestly.
That's what I was saying. And I said, you take both Shea and Jokic, the Thunder still win this series, and they probably still win it going away. That's how good the Thunder are still. That's the discrepancy we're dealing with.
Right. And, that's why I had trepidations picking you all to win this series. But we got some other series. I know this was painful, heartbreaking, but you all did recently win an NBA championship. You've had some great memories. This was a decent season for you all. You saw Jokic put up maybe the greatest center in the history of the NBA, even though he won't win an MVP because he's already won way too many of them in a row. He submitted himself as probably one of the 7 best centers of all time if he retired tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, you could maybe make a case for top 5, maybe. I mean, we'll talk again if he wins another one, but go ahead.
Yeah, well, the center list is insanely stacked, but he could get top 3 or top 2 all time. It's going to be hard to pass Kareem, but he can easily pass everybody else at the clip he's going. I mean, shoot, he win 4, 5, or 6 MVPs by the time he's done with it. He could put up incredible seasons like this. And then win 2 or 3 titles with that. It's, not many players in the NBA in general have that type of a resume. So,
yeah. And the thing is, too, and you were talking about the other series, Darrell, and since I want to ask you, the T-Wolves pick that I made, it's looking pretty good now, isn't it?
Yeah, that was probably, you called your shot and you just landed it from deep. Man, I mean, that was incredible. Like, I don't know how you did it. I don't know how you saw the future, but man, my worry was their consistency level because they've either been red hot or they've been ice cold. And I'm thinking over the course of 2 series, something's going to happen. First off, I thought they had a horrendous matchup with the Lakers, but it turned out they were the fakers and they couldn't defend worth anything. And Rudy Gobert decided to become prime Shaq in the 5th game.
Yeah.
So, and then, the Warriors, man, I feel so bad for it because I don't know who's the better team between the two. Like, if Curry was there, I honestly believe the Warriors have a very, very good chance to win it. I mean, they won game 1 with Steph Curry playing, and I would like to see him play at least 3 or 4 games if at all. That way we had a larger sample size. I felt like we were robbed of something truly great there.
I feel like we could have had 2 7-game series out west. And that's not even joking. I told a couple of my friends and family, I said, if Curry was healthy, that would be a 7-game series. And they're like, no way. Anthony Edwards and the T Wolves are just too much to handle. I'm like, really? I'm like, I know on paper the Warriors don't really, their bench isn't all that great, but you got Jimmy Butler, Draymond, Steph against the T Wolves, who, yeah, their bench would be, in many ways, Darrell, I compare the Nuggets to the Warriors. Great starting five, but our benches are bad, like very bad. The one bright spot off the bench for the Warriors is Pods.
Right. But the Warriors at least knew their bench was terrible and they weren't going to do anything. None of their guys panned out. That's why they traded for Jimmy Butler. Like, I felt like the Nuggets should have done something similar at the trade line, make some sort of a move, because I didn't see how the Nuggets were going to win it this year other than Jokic just going completely off. And I mean, he did everything you can imagine one possibly be doing, but
And
he is a human being after all.
And here's the thing too, Darrell. I'm not mad at him. Like,
oh no, nobody should.
No, he like, if we're giving blame pie to why we lost the series, he deserves zero of it. None. He's the reason we're here in the first place.
Yeah, and firing your coach with only like 3 games left to go in the end of the regular season, stupid. Made no logical sense at all. Just completely ruins the continuity of the team. There was just a lot of troubling signs, I felt like, for this title run.
And here's the thing, and I want to ask you this, Darrell, because this is a hot topic. Do you think that the playoff games should be more spaced out? Because that was a big thing I saw in the post-game pressers over these last couple days. Players were talking about these playoff games are way too close together. We need to space them out more. Aaron Gordon talked about it today in the presser. He was like, I would like it if we would at least get 2 days off between games, not one after the other. He was like, it's not healthy for the sport, and it's what causes more injuries. Where do you stand on that? I kind of agree.
I think the reason he's saying that is he's on a team where being rested would greatly help him out. I don't know the whole injury things. I mean, we've had obviously some freak injuries that I don't know how much rest would have factored, like the Jason Tatum ACL tear. I don't know what amount of rest would consolidate that. I'm tired of NBA players whining and complaining in general. I mean, you've gotten everything you could possibly want. I'm just like, in general, just stop whining, stop complaining. You can now change teams whenever you want. You're making hundreds of $millions to play basketball. You fly in private jets to go to these games. I mean, I'm just tired of that whole, like, we're victims of something. It's like, I just don't care. That's where I'm at. I truly don't care. If you don't want to play in the game, the bench is right there for you, my man. There's a seat with your name right on it.
And listen, here's the thing too, Darrell. Listen, I know a lot of people are going to call whoever wins the championship, they're going to put an asterisk on it, which I get it. A lot of times people will, but here's the thing. They'll say, "Oh, the rest," because that's what all I've heard is about. They need more rest. Yeah, are the games a little too close together sometimes? Yes, and I agree with you, Darrell. They're grown freaking men and they're millionaires. Like, come on. Like, I agree with you. Like, it is kind of ridiculous. It's like the NFL players complain about playing on Christmas now. Not to go too far off, but it's like, really? Y'all get paid millions of dollars. Like, and I get it. It's one of them you can't get the time back. But you're making millions doing it. You're getting paid. Whereas you're getting millions to do it. Like, stop complaining.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. Well, I kind of want to go to the other series because we've had a lot of the East is just completely makes no sense to me. Like, I was for sure Cavs Boston was going to be in the Eastern Conference Final. So of course, neither of those teams make it in there.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the Jason Tatum injury played a part of it, but I think New York showed that they were probably going to win that series with or without Jason Tatum. Now, it may have gone 7, and still may have gone 6 with him, but and then the Cavs, man, I mean,
They proved they were fraudulent.
yeah, I mean, the Pacers, I feel like we should give them a little bit more respect than that because they've made back-to-back Eastern Conference Finals now.
I tell you what, the real Tyrese Halliburton, he's the real deal. I remember when you came on the show once before, and I told you don't be surprised if the Pacers make it out the East. And I even said there's a good chance that, and you even said you just didn't think they had enough there. The Pacers, the real, I would be surprised if they won the whole thing. That's how good they are.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's clearly the Thunder should be the favorites, as who they've been the best team all year. They've got by far the best player remaining in the NBA playoffs. So I think the Thunder should, and they're going to have home court advantage through the rest of the playoffs. So they should be the favorites. But outside of that, any like if they get eliminated, they get a player going down, they just have a bad series. Any of the other teams, there's not like a clear title matchup of routes outside right now like there have been in years past. All the other 3 teams I feel like have a chance to beat the Thunder. But I would give the Thunder probably a very slight favorite to win it all over the field. I don't know where your thoughts are on that.
I would say so too. Even though I picked the Timberwolves to win the West, I would still say the Thunder would be the favorites to win the whole thing. I would say for me, Daryl, I would probably say that it's the Thunder right now, then the Pacers, then the Knicks, then the T-Wolves. If I had to go in order. I don't know how you feel on that. If you had to put them in order. And I think Daryl cut out or I cut out. One of the two. Uh-oh. Oh, yeah. Looks like Daryl cut out for a minute. He should be right back. But back to our point to Daryl's point of, I would say for me personally, it's more looking like the Thunder should be the favorite. Then it's any combination. Here's Daryl. Okay. I think Daryl's back now.
Yeah, sorry, Austin, about that.
You're all good, Daryl. But yeah, continue on, Daryl.
So I was basically saying that the reason you have the Wolves in last place is because they have to play the Thunder. Whereas if the Pacers and Knicks were in that situation, you would also have those teams as last place to win it all, based on the current playoffs. Is that correct?
Yes. I mean, and here's
okay. So who do you think is going to come out of the East with this Pacers Knicks series? For me, I'll be honest, I'm rooting for the Knicks to win it because I think it would be such a cool series if it's between the Thunder and the Knicks. I feel like those are 2 teams that, they're complete opposites, but in similarities in the same way, where one's a small market, one's a big market, but they've both been through like heartbreak and hardship over the last 20 some years. Literally since the Thunder have been founded, they've been going through hardship and heartbreak. So I feel like that's my ideal matchup for the finals right now. What would you say?
To be honest with you, Daryl, I'm kind of rooting for Edwards to win the whole thing. To be honest with you, and not just because I picked the T-Wolves, but it would kind of solidify his spot within the pantheon of superstars in the league, because a lot of names get thrown around, and Anthony Edwards does as well. But if he wins a title, we can put his name right there without a shadow of a doubt, and it would be Gobert's first. And and this is more of a personal side note, but Mike Conley, for him to win a title after coming so close to being so loyal with the Grizzlies all these years, it'd be sweet to see him win one. Just because he's a great player, he deserves to win one, kind of like Westbrook. And out east, I kind of like to see the Pacers. I'd like to see a Pacers T-Wolves series. I think that would be fun because Miles Turner can stretch the floor with Gobert. I want to see Anthony Edwards and Halliburton. I kind of want to see past. That would be a role player series. Whose role players would step up? That would be my personal pick.
Yeah, and also be a 6 versus 4 seed in the NBA Finals, which I don't know if there's ever been those to combine too low of teams to make the NBA Finals. But to me, Anthony Edwards is a superstar no matter what happens because he beat the Lakers. I mean, look at who he's beaten over the last year and this year and last year in the playoffs.
Uh-huh.
I mean, for me, he's a bona fide superstar right now. Like, if Donovan Mitchell's a superstar, Anthony Edwards is a superstar. That's where I'm at with it.
So let me ask you this, Daryl. So here's what I want to ask, and this is a question I saw earlier. Out of the 4 remaining teams remaining, which star player needs to win the title the most between Shea, Ant, Tyrese, and then of course Jalen Brunson? Who would benefit more in your opinion? There was kind of a debate. A lot of people were saying Shea would benefit, and then there were some that would say Ant. Not many said Brunson or Hallie. I want your thoughts on that.
See, for me, I think Jay's got the MVP, and he's already considered one of the 2 or 3 best players in the NBA. So the title's more of the all-time great conversation, which I don't know if he's gonna. You have to be this good for a consistent period of time for me to take seriously. I don't know with the title if it's Brunson's title. It's more if it's a Knicks title. Because the New York Knicks 1 through 6 or 7 are just great players. Like, nobody there, like, is Jalen Brunson significantly better than Karl Anthony Towns? I don't think so.
You got a point, Daryl. I mean, OG Anunoby, like, I can make a case he was their best player in the playoffs, and I'm not even doing that to get anybody riled up. I could seriously make a case for that.
Yeah, I think that's just a good fundamental team that everybody knows their role. Like Mitchell Robinson, for example. That's all he had a plus minus of plus 19 despite only having 1 point. Because he knows his role is on the defensive end in the court being a lockdown defender. So that's to me is more of a Knicks thing than a player specific thing. So for me, the person who benefits the most is Tyrese Halliburton. Because I don't think anybody views him as a superstar. I think people view him as a pretty good star. I think if he wins a title, he has to be in that superstar conversation. Because he's overlooked because he's in a small market. They're not taken seriously. Their games aren't on national television that often. And they've been righted off, in my opinion, incorrectly and disrespectful as, well, they're in the East, therefore they're kind of scrubbish because they're not winning at all. Or they're not able to beat the Boston Celtics, or the Bucks because they got Giannis or something like that. So for me, it's Tyrese Halliburton.
I would say the thing is too, and correct me if I'm wrong, Daryl, and this is, as you know, me as a Nuggets fan, the only reason why I would think a title could benefit Shea is because then the national media and some of the fans could start to make the argument, is Shea the best player in the world? They could start that argument because, not only did he beat Jokic, but he also won the title. And maybe they'll give Shea the crown of the best player in the world. Kind of like, for the longest time, Giannis had that title. And then when Jokic won the title, he kind of overtook him. I kind of think that's the angle they would take on that. Why that would be beneficial for him.
For me, we're in the LeBron James era where as long as Jokic he makes the playoffs and he does well, he's the best player in the world. He doesn't have to win all. Did you watch the series? Just watch the games. Jokic was the best player on the court by far.
Okay? No disagreement for me, Daryl. I watched the whole series. No, but tell some of these national media heads. That's what irritates me. Not going to rant, but sometimes they latch onto the new thing, and they're kind of they're taking Jokic's greatness for granted, is what they're doing. Because Shea's the new thing on the block.
Well, I'm not going to do that. Jokic is the best player regardless of who wins the title by how many points they score or what they do. Jokic is, I mean, he has no weaknesses in his game, really. He's the best passing big man of all time. He's one of the greatest scorers, big man of all time. He's just elite. I mean, he's the best player. I mean, it's Steph Curry's the greatest shooter of all time. Watch him play. Watch him shoot the basketball. Why is Jokic the best player in the world? Watch him play a game. Watch him play a game, and look how much better the Nuggets are with him on the court. Look at how much the offense runs through. Look at how he's able to read the play before it happens. He knows where the defenders are at before it happens. Look how he's able to get people open, pass people open, shoot people open, communicate with people to get them open and get easy buckets. He does so much for the Nuggets. It's insane.
Here's the thing, Daryl, and I want to say this. Here's a testament to how good Jokic is. Christian Brown, you remember his days at Kansas. He was a really solid player. And he gets drafted by us. And a lot of people were down on that pick because Christian could not do a lot of things right. He was not a scorer. The best thing he was known for was his defense and energy. And look how much he's improved just being on a court with Nikola Jokic. He's developed a three-point game. He's developed the ability to drive. He cuts more. I mean, a couple years ago, if you had said, oh, that's going to be a $30 million contract player in about 3 years when his contract's up, people would have said, oh, you're crazy. You need to get your eyes checked. But now Christian Brown could make up to $30 million this offseason if we choose to sign him. That's how good he's become. And that's all thanks to Jokic, in my opinion.
Right. And unfortunately, if the Nuggets, not the Jokic's, but basically the same thing at this point. If the Nuggets want to win, they have to cut players like that and realize not to pay them because a lot of it's Jokic. Honestly, there's about probably 100 players in the NBA where Jokic is so good he can elevate anybody's game, but he can actually turn them into decent pro players just because of how great he is. I wanted to ask you also about the NBA draft. I haven't gotten to talk to you or anybody about it, but I'm sure you saw that Nico Harris was awarded for his excellence in training Luka Doncic by getting the number 1 overall pick. And now they're gonna have a lineup of obviously near the end of the postseason, Kyrie Irving, Klay Thompson, Cooper Flagg, Anthony Davis, and Derek Lively III. I mean, my goodness.
Not to cut you off, but you can't make this stuff up. 1.8%. And here's the thing, too, Daryl. How does that happen? I try not to think that the league is rigged, but I'm starting to have my doubts now. Come on. Go ahead. Go ahead, Daryl. Go ahead.
I mean, look, I hate to say it because it sounds crazy, but are the Mavs favored to win it all next season with that lineup?
Gosh. I mean, it would hard to pick their starting 5 over it.
They got the best starting 5 in the NBA. They got the most complete starting 5 in the NBA.
Yeah, as much as I want to back the Nuggets right now, not after the postseason that they had. I can't make that argument anymore. I mean, even OKC's starting 5. I mean, you know what, Daryl? You may have a great point. The Mavs might be the favorites to win the whole thing, no matter who wins it this year.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, obviously, if Kyrie Irving didn't get injured to where there's ACL, I'd feel a lot better about the prediction. We need to see what he does when he gets back. But, I mean, just looking at that lineup on paper, man, it looks good. It looks really good. I know people are talking about trading them maybe for KD or something like that. I don't know if that would work. I think they should just run it back with what they got because of Flagg. I mean, I'm not sure if you saw him at Duke, but he was unbelievably good. So, and he might be their worst player when he comes. Well, it'd be Lively, then Flagg as their 2 worst players on the starting 5. I mean, that's really good.
Well, here's the thing, too. Darrell, I'll say this: like, this is gonna be interesting because you're looking at this like I'm kind of curious what the Celtics are gonna do. Not to go off the draft here, but what are they gonna do in the draft? Because they're gonna have a lot of fat to cut too. I mean, because Tatum's probably gonna be out all
Yeah,
next
they're
year.
done. Like their season next year, and this is I saw this. I don't forget the YouTuber I saw it from Andrew something. Does a bunch of shorts on basketball. He made a great point. Who's the Cavaliers' competition for next season?
The Pacers again. That might be it.
Right. Like think about how weak the East was perceived this year.
It's gonna be really
Probably
bad.
even be weaker next year.
Hmm.
But-
And the West is only getting stronger, Dario.
Right. So if you're the Cavs, all you have to do is really trade maybe Jared Allen and one of your role players like Max. I forget.
Struz.
Yeah, Max Strus, maybe somebody like a sharpshooter, get a solid number two alongside Donovan Mitchell. Because Garland's more of a three, in my opinion, than a two. Get a solid two inside, and then you're boom. You can easily win the East and win the whole thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, like, here's the thing, Darrell. I saw this, but here's what the West could have next year. The West could have Jokic, Murray, and Gordon, Cooper Flag, Anthony Davis, and Kyrie Irving. They could have the Lakers could have Austin Reeves, LeBron, and Luca. The Thunder could have Shea, Dort, and Holmgren. The West is littered with big threes, whereas the East, it's like you've got a couple, and then after that, it's a big fall off. Like, whoever wins the West next year, they will have earned it. Not to say that the East wouldn't have earned it, but the West is a battle every year. Like, whoever wins the T Wolves Thunder series, they will have earned it. The West is no joke. And,
Absolutely. I absolutely agree with you on that.
and here and here's the thing too, and this is funny for real. And the LeBron fans are like, "Oh, the West isn't so bad." And then LeBron hasn't been back to the title game since they said that. They were like, "Oh, LeBron dominates." Mm-hmm. You haven't been in the West, and the one year they won it was because of COVID and all that. So I just find it funny when those people start on that, and it's like, okay, wait till we actually everyone's healthy and everyone's playing. The West is a whole nother animal. Like, it's funny, Daryl. People used to make fun of the Warriors, thinking the Warriors had it easy out west. Nope. It's just because they had that great of players.
Right. A team with great players that are terrible, and I'm very curious what they're going to do, is the Suns. The Suns have two, maybe three with Bradley Beal, great players, and they're all kind of stuck there. They're going to have to cut at least one or get rid of, trade one of them, maybe two of them, maybe even all three of them if Bradley Beal raises his trade clause. So I feel like that can significantly shape the power. I mean,
Uh-huh.
Kevin Durant's legacy has been
Mm-hmm.
completely tarnished. Like, if you want to talk about an athlete who's made the wrong decision every single time, Kevin Durant is a good person to choose. Literally, ever since he left the Thunder back in 2015, he hasn't made one decision that has helped his legs. He joined the Warriors, won a few titles. Well, everybody kind of thinks, well, man, you joined a team that won 73-9, the best team in the history of the NBA that lost in 7 by 4 points. So all your titles are now considered kind of fake because, you didn't really earn them. Then what do? You join this other team. It doesn't work. Try to join the Nuts. Didn't work. You join where he joined the Suns. Doesn't work. He's going to join someone else. It's not going to work probably for the most part. I mean, Kevin Durant was going to be. He was projected by most people during those Warriors runs where he won NBA Finals over Curry to be one of the 10 greatest players of all time. Now he's probably in the low teens. Jokic has already probably passed him up. For example, Giannis probably's passed him up as well. I mean, he has completely tarnished his legacy by, in my opinion, leaving Thunder.
Yeah, and here's the thing too with that, Daryl. With the Phoenix Suns, them more than anything, I'm kind of curious what they're going to do because they have no bench depth either. Their bench depth is almost non-existent. They're almost like us
They
in a
got to
lot of
blow it
ways.
up. Boston. They got to do what the Jazz are doing. They got to blow it up. Pray that 14% bin ball goes their way.
Uh huh.
They got to. I mean, I'm not kidding. They got to strip it from the Suns. They got to be the worst team, maybe all time, win 10, 15 games for 1 or 2, maybe even 3 seasons. Get the dead money off the cap. It's going to be a painful process for them. They're probably in the worst spot of any team in the NBA. Because at least if you're like a horrendous team, you can look at the future saying we got these young prospects that are building nicely, doing well. Even the Jazz, for example, they got Colin Sexton, who's a decent player. They could trade him for some future assets that could turn out well. The Wizards got some young, they got some young talent that sometimes looks good. The Suns are just old and not good, and they got no assets.
Hmm. And see what the problem is with the Suns, Daryl, is Bradley Beal that no trade clause that the Wizards gave him, which to this day is stupid, stupid, stupid. And here's the thing. What are the Suns going to do? They're almost handcuffed. They have to. Because here's the thing. Bradley Beal is not going to go to anybody he doesn't think he can win with. So if they say, oh, we're going to trade you to Miami, and he could be like, no, I don't want to go to Miami. Not happening. Or they could say, oh, we're going to send you to, I don't know, we're going to send you to the Jazz. He could be like, nope. He's going to want to go somewhere like Boston, Cleveland, Indiana, here in Denver. He's going to want to be with someone
Oh, he's got a
that
massive contract, so he can't go to one of those teams.
that's the problem too.
He has to go to one of these teams that are terrible, in my opinion, show that you're actually worth something. Because I mean, he was awesome with the Wizards. He was like a legit all star when he was
Uh-huh.
on the Wizards. He is tanked behind
Yeah.
all, like everyone in the NBA in terms of quality of player.
Mm-hmm.
Or
Him
he's
and
worst contracts in the NBA. It's not even really close. I mean, similar situation, but it's due to injuries. Joel Embiid, somebody
yeah.
who's really great, and it's now you look at him with all his issues with his knees and stuff. One of the worst contracts in the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
They're in a complete mess as well, and they're probably going to have to blow it. It goes in cycles with these things, and some teams have to reset and rebuild. And unfortunately, I think the Suns, 76ers, maybe the Bucks are going to have to completely blow it up, trade their pieces, get assets like picks and young players,
Uh-huh.
and then try again in a few years.
Yeah. And here's the thing too, Daryl. Everyone sees what the Thunder did and think that every team can do that. Here's the thing with the Thunder, and it showed today. Every player they got was through the draft. The trades that they made is what allowed them to do this, but you have to be bad in order to do that. The Thunder built this team through the draft. So if you're willing to be bad for 3 or 4 years, then yeah, you could take the Thunder route. But if you feel like you're a franchise that is this close to winning a title, but just can't fit the pieces together, then you better think of something and something fast. Because here's the funny thing, Daryl. Phoenix was 2 wins away from winning the whole thing not that long ago. That's how far they've fallen.
Yeah, I know with Chris Paul and them, but life hits you fast, man. They had their small window of opportunity. They blew it. Now they got to retry again.
Mm-hmm. So let me ask you this, Daryl. Since you already told me who you're picking to play in the finals, how many games do you think it's going to take?
Thunder in 5.
Okay. And out east?
I'm gonna go with the. Oh, I'm gonna go Knicks in 7.
Okay. I'm going to go T-Wolves in 6, Pacers in 5.
Man, the Pacers in 5. Oh man, the Knicks fans. Stephen A. Smith, man, that first thing. I can't wait for first take tomorrow because this is
Uh-huh.
the most. This win that they got over Boston was the most significant win the Knicks have had this millennium.
Mm-hmm.
So if they lose in five
Oh
games
God.
to a team that they probably think they're better on paper, in my opinion. Completely, in terms of coach, in terms of quality of depth, in terms of the way they play, their physicality, home court advantage, all that
Uh
goes
huh.
to the Knicks. And if
Uh
they lose
huh.
five, man, that's
Here's
tough.
here's the thing. This is one of them series, Darrell, not to go too far in the weeds on you, but this is one of them series styles make fights, as the old saying goes. And the Pacers like to run, push the pace. The Knicks are beat you into the ground. Let's slow it down. Let's play physical basketball. And I think the Pacers, they sped the Cavs up. They sped the Bucks up. Like, what gives me any belief that they're not going to speed the Knicks up? And then the Knicks aren't just going to crumble under that. What gives me any belief?
I mean, that's fair. I'm more of a believer in the quality of depth of the New York Knicks. I believe that the style between the two teams in terms of their best two players is very similar in terms of talent. Jalen Brunson, Tyrese Halliburton, same
Uh-huh.
type of player in terms of talent level. I like the Karl Anthony Towns versus Miles Turner matchup. Both big
Yeah.
men, both can stretch the floor. I think these are very similar teams in terms of the way they play,
Uh-huh.
except for the pace. And I think, in my opinion, I just think New York is just slightly better in
Mm-hmm.
terms of overall talent and depth because they
Mm-hmm.
got, Josh Hart, who's a gritty player, OG
Uh-huh.
Anunoby, who's a really good role player, Mitchell Robinson, who's the best defender in the series. So that's why and they got the better home court environment,
Mm-hmm.
which I feel like only in a few places that matter. And I think the Knicks, it's one of them.
Yeah. And here's the thing, too, Darrell. Out of all four teams, I would take Madison Square Garden over all the other three. Like, that's like you said, that's the world's most famous arena. That's the biggest arena. Like like Madison Square Garden doesn't get no bit bigger or better than that. So I agree with you on that. But what for me, Darrell, what you said, I don't disagree with. But the thing with me is outside of Brunson, outside of the two stars, I agree with you where OG and Josh Hart. What I want to see from the Pacers is can Nimhard, can Benedict Mathern, who wasn't there last year because he had a terrible injury. Now that he's healthy and playing, they kind of give the Pacers a different dimension because Josh Hart is not known for his scoring. Neither is Benedict Mathern. But Nimhard, like his days at Gonzaga, he can put some points up in bunches. And can the Knicks match that? Can they have someone to offset that? Because we know Brunson is going to offset what Halliburton does. We know what Turner does, Cat's going to offset. The question is, out of everyone that you've mentioned, it's going to be interesting to see who steps up and becomes the third option for both of them. Because the two star players for both sides are going to offset one another.
That's right. That's right. Now, I want to transition to a different sport if that's okay.
Go
And
for it. Yeah.
I'm sure you've seen college football is instituting potentially a 4-4-3-3-1-1 model in which
Uh-huh.
the SEC Big Ten would get four teams, the ACC Big 12 would get three, the G5 would get one, and then there'd be one at large spot.
Uh-huh.
What do you think about this potential playoff format change?
I'll say this, Darrell. It's heavy on the SEC and Big Ten. And which doesn't surprise me. Like, we all know those are the two best conferences. It's just I just and like you said, Darrell, most years the Big Ten and SEC, they're the two best conferences. Like this year, you could legitimately made an argument for Alabama. You could have made an argument made an argument for Alabama to be in. You could have made an argument for Ole Miss, South Carolina. I don't mind it if it's earned and warranted. And most years it is. But on the off years that it's not, then that's where I have a problem.
No, I completely agree with that. In my opinion, since I feel like no matter what we're doing, we're going to automatic qualifiers.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like 3 is way too many for the ACC and Big 12. That's just my opinion. Like,
Yeah, I would agree.
Who's the third best ACC team from last year? Who'd be Syracuse?
Maybe
Yeah.
Louisville.
No, I think it's Syracuse because Syracuse beat Miami. Miami beat Louisville.
We'll go with Syracuse. Yeah.
Does Syracuse belong in a game against Penn State?
Absolutely not. That's going to get ugly. That's going to be SMU all over again.
So, do we need to see BYU in game against Notre Dame?
That might be a competitive game because Notre Dame has been known to play down to their competition.
It might, but Notre Dame is clearly the better team.
Yes, I wouldn't disagree with you. No,
and that's my issue: is why are we giving these significantly lesser conferences bids, and where some years, like last year, the Big 12 and ACC did relatively well, especially the Big 12, for what they're normally expected to be. The Big 12, being hot garbage and a complete mess. There's going to be years if we go to 3 auto qualifiers for the Big 12, legitimately the third or even the third best team won't be ranked. Mm-hmm. Like that third place team might legitimately be 7-5.
Yeah,
they have or they'll be 9-3 with some weird loss to like North Texas or something like that. And it's like, oh really? They're going to get in the playoffs over Alabama?
Yeah, yeah. Darrell, it's coming. And here's the funny part too, Darrell, is one year we're going to have an 8-4 Big 12 team get in with the automatic qualifiers too, which is really going to get everyone going because they can lose all 3 of their non-cons and lose 1 conference game, but run the table and win the Big 12. And then the committee's going to be like, well, we got to put them in now.
Shoot, that Arizona State almost lost all their I hate how Texas didn't absolutely obliterate them, but it still shouldn't take away from the pouring. Arizona State almost lost to Mississippi State.
Yeah.
The worst team in the SEC, a team that got crushed by Toledo.
Yeah.
They go out and almost lose to Texas State. Not maybe the 7th or 8th best team in the state of Texas.
Yeah.
Why does this team belong in the playoffs? Listen. I know people like to say, well, they won their conference championship. I'm sorry. The Big 12, I value that closer nowadays to winning the 2019-2018 American than the SEC in the Big 10. Sorry if that offends you. You know what you can do? Go schedule Oregon. Go schedule Ohio State. Go schedule Florida State, Miami, Louisville. Go schedule South Carolina, Georgia, LSU, Texas. You know why I don't think they do? Because they know they're going to get crushed. Like, let's be honest, Austin. Arizona State plays Georgia tomorrow. Georgia's probably going to win by 5 touchdowns minimum.
Yeah, maybe 6.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe I'm underselling this. What happened a few years ago? TCU, the wonder darling, they got lost by 60.
Yeah. Listen, like not to go down a rabbit hole, but it's like I think Michigan, really underestimated TCU. They didn't respect them enough, whereas Georgia was like, we done had our scare, and that Georgia just absolutely obliterated them. Because that Michigan team, let's be honest, should have spanked TCU, but they didn't respect them enough.
That's why they made the playoffs. I mean, they had the signs of everybody else, and then when they didn't have the signs, they magically lost to an inferior team. I mean, I'm not saying that's evidence that the cheating may have impacted their results on the field, but I mean, if we're looking for strong evidence, that's somewhere I would look for, How come this team that has elite talent that beat everyone else, including Ohio State, by like 5 touchdowns? How come that when they play a team everybody thinks is fraudulent, they give up 40,000 points against them? Wonder if there's something suspicious about that. It's like an athlete that runs a race and they beat the world record by like 5 seconds. Something doesn't pass the smell test.
I'm with you, Darrell. Like, I'm with you. Here's the thing, too. It's like And listen, I try not to go down that route. I try to think everything's legit as possible, but all the signs point to it. Like, especially that Washington game. Like, no one could solve Washington's pass offense, but magically Michigan could. Yeah, okay. And and Texas couldn't. That was the thing, too. Texas had one of I think, the best quarterback duos that year, and they couldn't stop Washington's wide receiver duo, but Michigan could with just one. Something suspicious about it. I agree. The smell, it's not passing the smell test.
Yeah, but as fans of teams who have been caught cheating and taken away, they're more important than us. They're a bigger brand than us, and therefore they're probably going to get off lighter because this is a unjust world we live in. Where if everybody
Mhm.
had to abide by the same penalty, they would have their wins taken away, like Kentucky did when we got caught cheating in INL. But it's all
And
good.
just like Louisville, when we got caught doing what we doing, we
Yeah,
lost the national title. But
all
since
right.
it's Michigan,
And
they'll
you all, in
slap
my
them on the
opinion,
wrist.
I use you all as an example all the time, saying you all what you did you had nothing to do on the field or the court, nothing, literally nothing, and you all got yours revoked. If that's the standard, then that needs to apply over here as well. That's just my opinions on that.
Hmm. And here's the thing too, and I'll say this to real, because then, so I do have one more thing I do want to ask you about the NBA because it's kind of interesting. But the Sharon Moore self-imposed ban, what do you think about that? I saw that and I'm like, yeah, that's almost like you're trying to save face. Almost like when a mom catches a kid doing something bad, you just automatically like you're grounded 2 weeks, go to your room. And then the mom is like, why is he doing that? And then there's more that comes out, and then the mom's like, you're grounded 2 months. That's what this kind of feels like.
Right? Have you ever voluntarily put yourself in jail before?
No.
Why would you? That's what Michigan's chosen to do. Doesn't you think that's strange?
That's a
Well,
little
and I
suspicious.
saw that point from Mo, and I thought that's a good point.
Eh,
It's obviously Michigan cheated. Michigan covered up. Michigan lied about it. They disrespected the NCAA. And listen, the NCAA is still the organization that leads all sports and athletics. I hope they vacate the wins. I hope they negate the national championship or may unrecognize it as the national championship and everything gets restored. Because that's
Mm-hmm.
what it should be. Now, is any of that going to happen? No, probably not. Jerome Moore's probably going to hopefully get suspended or fired, and then they get their program, a bowl ban and scholarships revoked and all that stuff. They get crippled for 3 to 5 years, and they're kind of
Mm-hmm.
just an irrelevant, floundering team.
Mm-hmm. And then they'll say the punishment's over, and then Michigan will say we've served our time.
Yeah,
Basically, is what it'll do.
yeah.
And that's the thing too. It's just listen, and here's the thing too, Daryl. You want to know what's funny? Is it's against Central Michigan and Nebraska. Like that's a punishment. Really? Like, if you can't beat Central Michigan with your head coach or without, you've got more problems than we ever know. And Nebraska, come on, this isn't the national title team, Nebraska. We're talking here. We're talking Matt Rule's Nebraska, who's still rebuilding. Like they're trying to act like they're doing good, but when in all actuality they're trying to save face. That's all they're doing.
I got you, Austin. I've got to get going here shortly. So it's been a pleasure talking to you. I look forward to talking to you next time. I'm sorry that your Nuggets got absolutely crushed and destroyed, my man. There's always next season. You got the best player in the world. It could be a lot worse, okay?
Yes, and thank you as always for stopping by, Daryl. And this may shock you, but I hope the Timberwolves win it because I right now I'm on hate watch for the Thunder. But
That's fair. That's fair.
but as always, Daryl, nice talking to you. And we still got more playoffs to go.
Absolutely.
And that was Daryl MVP stopping by. Always appreciate him. And there's the call-in link. If anybody wants to call in, you can if you want. But if nobody else wants to call in, it's been a heck of a season. And the 2024-2025 campaign comes to an end. Heartbreaking fashion as always. We mourn, but we move on. The sun will rise in the morning. It'll be a brand new day. And we're going to get better. And like Daryl said, we still got Nikola Jokic. We still got the best player in the world. And we still got Mr. Nugget. The world as we know it will not end. And like Jackson put in the chat here, there's Daryl's MVP Twitter link if you want to talk to Daryl on Twitter. Here's mine. And just a little plug since Jackson's in the chat. Make sure you tune in tomorrow night at Alabama, the voice of college football, for Alabama Crimson Tide Live with him, Jeffrey, and Coach Johnny Burks as they are 103 days countdown to kickoff. So, should be a lot of fun there. And Jackson, of course, has plenty of great stuff going on his show. And, of course, you can find Jackson on all his social medias. And more importantly, more than anything, make sure you... And Jackson said, I appreciate the shout-out, good buddy. You're always more than welcome, Jackson. Jackson, always more than welcome. But more than anything, if you enjoy the stream, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share this out with all your friends. And to all my Nuggets fans out there, to all my friends, whether you're a Nuggets fan or not, we still got 2 series to go and a finals to be done. But to all my Nuggets fans, it was a disappointing end to a bittersweet season. And with that, we look forward to the offseason and the draft. And let's keep things rolling. And I'll see y'all next time. And it's always, always going to be Go Nuggets and Go Cards, everybody.